I greatly despise cutesy, try hard yet not hard enough writing. You know exactly what I'm talking about too. The type of communication you expect from furries, ethons, weeaboos, and pedophiles. Something about it just exudes this aura of a complete lack of self-awareness, intelligence, or value. Like, imagine verbally talking like this to someone in person. You'd sound like a complete retard out of context. Just because it's text doesn't make it any different. Now, imagine someone creates a game that's based almost entirely around character interactions with this style of dialogue. Not only that, but they want you to take the game seriously at points, as if I'm supposed to care about the illiterate. What are they gonna do? Send me a strongly worded letter? Tweet about it? They tried that. At least I think they did. This is Smile for Me, a first-person narrative-focused puzzle game with some fairly unique and interesting mechanics and concepts that never see their full use. Let's start with the visuals, as that's the only area I'll say anything good. They're...
For the love of Mike, make it stop! It's disgusting!
unique. That's not inherently a good or bad thing, but I think they're nice. It's something you'd see on Tumblr that would actually make you say, hey, this doesn't want to make me kill myself. It's a shame then that the best parts of this aesthetic are only shown at the very start and very end of the game, when it attempts a horror atmosphere. I know the gimmick of, oh hey, that's a cute cat, and then suddenly,
I'm under the bed! Ma! No! Here he come, Ma! Ma, I'm sorry!
is overdone, but I think it does a decent job at being unsettling, and could keep you guessing on when it's going to get spooky. Now, I don't get scared by video games. I'm not a Let's Player. Worse, I'm a Twitch streamer. But if they had just stuck hard to a horror tone, then I would have been all over this. The drunken camera movement, super dark fog, the characters you left behind having realistic items in place of their heads, it all is actually a little spooky and off-putting. I like it, but it's really only about 10 minutes of the 2 to 3 hours you'll get out of this game, with the exception of the shitty jump scare bait that you almost have to try to get.
Booga booga! You just got spooked!
If you look at the promotional material, it's very clearly trying to push the horror aspect, so to have it be so underused is staggering to me. The artist even seems to have their own horror comic they're making, and I'm all for that. More horror media should embrace the cartoony courage side of art. But as it is, the majority of the game remains bright and cheery, and I find it hard to get scared when I'm getting turned on by Sad Sack Sally over here. As we've all learned, it's hard to be scared of something you want to have sex with. With that out of the way, how does the game play? The main mechanic advertised is the use of shaking your mouse up and down or side to side in order to induce motion sickness, something very few games have ever made me feel. In order to respond to characters who will ask if you wish to continue playing the game, you either agree to help people, don't and just not play the game, or say either because the game will continue regardless. I think in concept this nodding mechanic is a pretty neat idea that can help immerse you into the world and make you feel a closer connection as the silent protagonist. It's a shame then that it goes no farther with the idea than to test the durability of your cum-stained big titty waifu mousepad. At no point are you under any pressure or time limit to respond, nor do you need to be doing any other task while doing so. This begs the question, why not just have a dialogue option? Your style of play nor your answers are going to be affected by this mechanic. In fact, I would say it even just makes the job more annoying, as you hope the game reads your inputs after the 5th nod. I hate to break it to you, but for video games to be immersive, they need gameplay.
We're the video game!
This is not bad. Imagine if you had to respond to a series of simple yes or no questions while being chased, or on a short timer, but due to stress or rushing, you simply make the wrong movement. Have you ever played a horror game or shooter where you have to grab a small object very quickly while danger approaches. It's a bit difficult to pick up the soap when Jacob and the brothers of Nyarlathotep are running you down trying to tell you their favorite boomer shooters. Or what if the game could notice how fast you were shaking and where you were looking before or after so that the characters you're speaking to might have a different response? Mopey Molly over here might be less inclined to remove her dump truck from the stairwell if you spend the majority of the conversation beaming her bodacious breast. Hell, there are even a few times you're asked to look at specific spots, so clearly it's a function they were able to implement. Just take it a few steps farther, even if just for some comedic value. Is it so wrong that I want to just commit a few microaggressions?
And now it only hurts when you touch it.
Touch. Do I have to follow you all day?
As it is, you might as well just be able to press a button to respond. Better yet, just remove the ability to say yes or no entirely. There's only one puzzle that needs you to respond correctly. Everything else is just a do or do not, if it's even a choice at all. If a big mechanic of your game could have never existed and no appreciable effect would be made to the gameplay, you need to find a way to make it more important. The only other gameplay elements are simple point-and-click style rub X item against person to proceed. You're trying to make people happy by doing shit like beating a clown or telling Tits McGee to not be a social studies major. Pickle Man here wants the jar open. You can take it to the strong dude outside to open it, or just bash his fucking head in with it like a Chad. Sadly, it never gets more complicated or funny than that. A few require you to get an item from a different character to proceed, and some items are hidden in really stupid ways. Yeah, good luck finding this cape, and I hope you remember that one off-color spot on your wall. You know, the one that's placed in just so perfect a spot that you would never look at it because you're either walking to or from the bed. No, the painting doesn't go to the vampire that likes flowers. Shut up. Of course, you can always just walk out a few minutes after the start, so what's even keeping you here? Why, it's the narrative and interactions, of course. The story goes something like this. You and a bunch of other World of Gumball rejects, including multiple unsupervised children, perverts, women, and Reddit users are locked up. You get to interact with these fascinating individuals and see that they're not only 2D as a stylistic choice, but also because they're all paper-thin narratively. Every single character can be summarized in about 2 sentences, most just 1. Clown who loved and lost, love who's lost, wants to hit the clown, wants to hit evil, also maybe racist, furry, vampire father and daughter need to reconnect, he wants the pickles, he wants to fuck the giant mouth, tired of being androgynous, tired of singing songs about teeth, concerning depictions of a child. Fish. There's nothing more to these characters. They decided that instead of making interesting fleshed out characters, the developers will just throw as many losers as they can at you in hopes that you forget what the plot is. Basically, all of you checked yourselves into this gulag run by a man gone crazy over smiles because dad beat his ass for coming home with a torn shirt after getting bullied for saying PogChamp out loud near a crowd of Komodo hype supremacists. He decides to hoard a bunch of depressed people, making sure they stay depressed forever because he wants to be the one to give them beautiful smiles, the only way a Chinese man such as himself knows. Chemical warfare.
Green is good.
He will cover the world in a smog of laughing gas until everyone is playing Genshin Impact to aid the CCP in collecting confidential information. Why does he need a gaggle of mentally and physically inept rejects in order to violate the Geneva Convention? I do not know. And I don't think he does either, as he spends his time telling you to stop helping people, making reject Muppet Show PSAs, or even worse, the aforementioned really bad jump scare bait. Ooga! If you dare to violate parole to spend time playing Whack the Non-Whites. So to fight against such a menace, you must make people happy. Look at these people. They're clearly in a deep state of depression. I think this bitch just wants an owl. Like, yeah, I get that, but why are you here? You're not insane. You're owl sane.
Hey, you guys are watching Bird Up, the worst show on television.
But somehow, by doing tasks that even Sam and Max thought were too trivial, you give them the ability to phase out of this plane. Or at least that's what I assume, as the exit door never opens until the very end. Maybe they're also speedrunners, who knows. Frankly, there's not much left to say about this game. For being what seems to be the first game put out by these developers, I can't say it's the worst I've ever seen. Again, I think the art style has some merit, especially when used in the context of horror, and if there was any tension or threat to be felt at any point, these spooky sections would have been enough for me. The OST is pretty good, mainly the spooky song that reminds me of Axiom Verge. A few of the interactions were quaint. There's 3 violent children that leave some worrying implication of the writer's view of kids, but the vast majority of playtime is simply rubbing A item against B person for some super simplistic dialogue from mostly one-dimensional characters, or at its worst, rechecking every NPC to see if their interactions have arbitrarily changed. If they had focused on the horror aspects, fleshed out the characters, or at least given us more reason as to why we're here and why we should be doing anything, and focused on a couple of characters rather than the 20-odd, I could see myself being into this, even with the stupid dialogue. If you're the kind of person who finds this type of dialogue entertaining, then I recommend you watch a long play of it on YouTube. You'll get the same experience and save yourself $13, assuming you didn't get this through Humble Bundle like I did. I also recommend not breeding, as you'll likely taint the gene pool with a lineage of illiterate Twitter users. Not worth $13 in the slightest. I give this game a lost potential over my extremely low willpower to finish this video. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Keep on smiling. Full of toys. Okay, that's the entire copy pasta. Now let's see what happens if I click start.
Well done.